Let's tune it up. Good evening. Well, everybody turn on their mics, please. Mike. Okay, good evening to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of June 11th, 2025. May I have a roll call, please?
Amanda here.
Michael here.
Lynn here.
Eric here.
Daryl here.
Please
Jeff
rise.
here.
Oh, Jeff here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This table's going to get 2 minutes. I'll look at it afterwards. So we have approval of the regular agenda. Has anybody taken time to look at it? The regular agenda for the evening. Are there any changes? No. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda for June 11th, 2025. As is.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of minutes of May 28th. Does anybody have anything they want to?
I have a change.
Okay.
So on page 8, it just reads really weird. So it says, it says Jen Bianchi 222. It was addressing applicant. All they asked of the blood works is their addition comply with the code, and they left.
I questioned the same thing.
Yeah, they didn't leave the meeting. They just the blood works moved out of town. So like I don't know even if any of that is relative, that back and forth to the minutes, but that one just reads really odd because it sounds like they left the meeting.
Oh, and they left.
And they left. See ya.
It could just be a period.
Yeah,
Okay. With that, does anybody have a motion to approve the minutes of May 28th, 2025?
I put a motion out to approve the minutes of Wednesday, May 28th, 2025.
I second.
Motion by Eric, second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Daryl abstains, wasn't there.
No, you can still vote. You can still.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the minutes, anyhow. Declaration of conflicts of interest, anybody? No?
No.
Public comment. Citizens are invited to speak on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. We have no audience. Madison, is anybody on Zoom? No raised hands. With that, we will close public comment. Special presentations. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes unless you have asked for more. How many do you need, Cindy?
I'm going to call it 7. I really have no idea, honestly. Thank you, Lynn. Just to give you a little bit of background, as most of you probably know, the town officially established the Minturn Downtown Development Authority this past December of 2024, following a special election in November, which passed. So the Downtown Development Authority was formed. The downtown eligible voters in the special election were people within the proposed district, so it wasn't a townwide election. So the DDA passed quite significantly, and we created DDA officially in December. I can address any questions after I kind of get through this, but so that happened in December. The next step was we appointed our board in March of this year, so we have now our DDA board, and the next big step with the DDA is what's called a plan of development. And a plan of development is required by state statute. So this is a document that we are required to create and file with the county and the state. And this document will serve as our guiding document for many years. So it's important that we get it right. And by get it right, I just mean create a thoughtful and professional plan that will clearly outline our goals, our strategies, our priorities for how the DDA will function, the types of projects it wants to take on, and set us up for success on a path forward for the Minturn DDA. And so to do this properly and professionally, we have enlisted the help of a consultant, which is Ayers Associates out of Fort Collins. They have done many of these plans, and you can find examples on their website, which I'm happy to share. But in particular, they did the town of Frazier's plan about a year and a half ago, maybe. And I'd say about a year and a half ago. And the board and myself very much liked that particular plan. So we have enlisted Ayers Associates to help with this process. And the reason, well, I'm updating you for multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons we wanted to update you today is that the way this process will work is they will come to Minturn and be here in person coming this fall, and they will do a 2.5-day workshop with us to help write this plan. And we will be looking for participation and engagement from town staff, from downtown stakeholders, and also from the Planning Commission and the Town Council, and then of course the board. So the DDA board will need to be here for all of it, and then we'll have different portions in which we'll be looking for participation from those who want to participate. It certainly is not mandatory, and you won't be asked to be here for the whole 2.5-day workshop, but for anybody that can be here for parts of it, we'll have a more detailed schedule once we actually get the dates figured out, and they help us figure out the exact schedule. But I wanted to alert you of this. I included in your packet the scope of work, which kind of details the process that they would go through. Scott did have one addition that I will be asking them to add, which was reviewing our community plan to make sure that as we're writing this plan, it aligns with the community plan. But yeah, the process will include this 2.5-day pretty intensive workshop. They'll spend time with downtown stakeholders, get familiar with Minturn, walk around. They'll be available in the evenings, even after the sessions. And then they'll basically start writing the plan on site, and then we'll work on it for a short period of time. After that, once we get this draft plan in place, it does have to be approved by Planning Commission, and it does have to be approved by Town Council. And our goal, and I say our goal, but it's kind of sort of a mandatory goal, is to get this finished and approved so we can have it filed by the end of the year to be eligible for tax increment financing in 2026. I don't know if that made sense to you, but essentially we are somewhat in a time crunch to get the plan created. And we are looking at dates currently. I don't have dates yet for the workshop, but it is looking potentially like mid or late October, potentially the week of October 20th, although that's not definite. I'm trying to see if they can do it sooner, like late August, but September's out because the board, we have too many scheduling conflicts with the DDA board in September. That's kind of a rough introduction, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions. Lynn,
Who wants to go
everybody
first?
has questions.
Okay, start.
So Scott,
Amanda, please.
so will the DDA impact our Code 16? Okay, so nothing that we're doing in Code 16 would change with the DDA.
I do think the two need to, yeah,
And work together.
not only, and that's why I brought up, what I didn't see in their scope was any mention of our 2023 community plan, which does have some specific ideas for the 100 block. So at least it needs to acknowledge that, or by reference, or take that into consideration. But I don't know that it's going to have any impact on Chapter 16 rewrite.
Okay.
If,
We're thinking of like conditional uses or things like that, used by right, that would potentially be asked for changes with the DDA development plan?
I don't think so, but these are definitely questions that can also be addressed during the workshop, because I think it's important as we start having these conversations, in person, it will be important to talk about, because we will be talking about, it'll be, I don't want to say high level, we were going to want to be somewhat detailed in the plan, but we're going to want to be broad enough that we don't limit ourselves as well. So the plan will be somewhat high level, like these are the types of projects we want to see, these are our goals, these are the strategies, these are what people want to see in the downtown, things like that. But right, the types of projects, it will be important, because if the type of project is not in the plan, the DDA can't do it. And this will be our document for like 25 years. So like, that's why I say we want to get it right. But we'll definitely have opportunities as we're writing the plan to work with the consultant and say, address any concerns like that. And not having somewhat of a lack of expertise in the planning side, that's why I don't feel like I'm doing a very good job answering your question, but.
And then my second question on the same thing is like, because we have in that 100 block, since I've sat here, we have a couple like special like conditional uses that go with the property. Will those have to be revisited as part of the DDA development, or will they be in place? I'm mostly specific, like thinking about the distillery, like will that, any of those,
I think those are, what you're describing, or at least how I'm interpreting it, is kind of two separate things. One is a zoning matter and a use by right, and something that we've already reviewed and approved, which might have conditions or time limits to it, and a downtown development authority improvement plan that is, I think, supposed to be focusing on non-site specific,
okay,
Right.
thank you for that
non-property
clarity.
specific uses by right or
Got it.
permitting or anything. It's sidewalk improvements and landscaping
Perfect.
and crosswalks and
Got
signage and
Okay.
Exactly.
lighting and
I just didn't, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know the coverage,
Yeah.
like, and there's a,
good questions.
go.
You're up.
I like your presentation, thank you, Cindy. And I sort of had similar questions as Amanda did, and I know that on the 100 block, it was an extensive deal to get the 100 block zoning through many years to get that part through. And the only thing, in regards to
And we
chapters.
still have those specific design guidelines, which wouldn't change.
Yeah, my only thing is, I was reading at Ayers and Associates, they come up with incentives and stuff, that's, what it, talks about, obviously, and I think the whole thing is a good idea. I just wanted to also clarify as well that we've all been through it, numerous times, and we've all talked about, not reducing the side setback for fire conditions, and I just wanted to put that out there now before the whole process got pushed.
Absolutely, and sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but to your
No.
point, the DDA, that would be outside of like the DDA scope. Not looking to change guidelines, not looking to change code, not looking to change those kind of things.
PRD.
Right.
Perfect answer.
Perfect answer. Because I was gonna follow through on that too.
Perfect
That
answer.
whole community plan and everything we did took, what, 2 years, Scott? And a ton of money, and I'm not going there anytime soon.
Completely
to
understand.
do anything else. But could you, for the benefits of those who may not have been, I had a little bit of understanding with this at the very beginning, because I did go to that Colorado Springs meeting. But for those who haven't, when we join this, we have to belong for 25 years.
Well, so that it's not so much, I guess, belonging. I don't, but it's actually, I think the DDA is actually in place
The
for,
local government.
it's its own entity.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's 30 years, but the plan of development, I think, has to be in place for 25. I will double check that. Remember, pretty confident it's 30 years. So the DDA would be in place for 30 years, and then you can, at that time, I think we'd have to go back to election, but we'd have to go back to election in 30 years if we wanted to keep it going.
If any of us are around.
Yeah.
30 years.
So, but it would go through that same process then. But yes, the Downtown Development Authority or district or whatever you want to call it, it's an authority, but the district would be in place for 30 years.
And then will you please explain how they get their money from the tax funding situation?
I will try. I'm still learning about TIF, but so I'm by no means an expert. Tax increment financing. So essentially the properties within the district. And if you're not familiar, we do have, under the economic development page on the website, there's a DDA, a Downtown Development Authority page, which has a ton of information. It has all the information that we shared when we went through the election and that whole process. It also has the maps on there. So it is mostly the downtown core, but I'll just go into that a little bit. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but we did go further than the 100 block. We went kind of to the 200 block. We included specific properties along the 400 block because we do have commercial properties in that area. And then we did the right of way down to the 500 block and all the way to Dow Junction. And the reason we did that is down the road, there may be developments or properties that want to opt in to the Downtown Development Authority. And if they are adjacent to the right-of-way that was included, they can do so. That would be an opt-in factor for them. But then for the way the TIF works is, so for properties that are within the district, if they do improvements or developments that create additional property taxes, the increment or that extra new tax would come into the DDA versus going to the current taxing entities that it goes to.
So then, Scott, would the very first thing we have to work with that be the distillery?
Likely.
Yeah.
So that would be an example.
Exactly.
And you'd have to be a new building, and it's only on those. What about remodels?
Improvements do count towards TIF. It's just like base doesn't. So if my understanding is if your property tax just goes up, because property taxes are going up, it would stay in the base. So the base, you might know more about this than I do though, but the base would continue going where it goes now. But all increment, which would be new developments and improvements, which remodels would be improvements, anything you do to increase the value of your property would fall under TIF. Does that sound correct?
And you
Yeah.
put out, you said something about 500. Wasn't Steam Master at some of those meetings? Did you join? No?
No, we didn't. Now,
They may have come to just learn.
they may have come to learn, yeah, we did not include them. But again, and I'd have to look, I think we only went to the 500 block for going south. Down the road, if there are commercial developments down that further down, and we want to look at expanding it, I'd have to learn and understand how that works. I think it's probably an option, but we'd have to.
Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to interrupt, and perhaps you should introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm your new town manager, Rob Gutierrez. I met Lynn and Michael the other day at the zoning, but I haven't met the rest of you, but it's nice to be here.
And then why don't you all give Rob, just, I know we're interrupting here, but since we're on this, let's do it. Amanda, introduce yourself.
And you just say I'm Amanda Muir.
Well, tell them what your profession is or something.
So I'm Amanda Muir. I work in large financial services industry for IT risk and compliance. I have one kid and I live on Eagle River.
That's good. And she has a wonderful big dog. Biggest lamb I've ever met. Michael?
I filled a 0 lot the other day.
So did I. Eric?
My name's Eric Griffith. I am a teacher at the Vail Ski and Snowboard Academy. I live in Malloy Park. And I live in Malloy Park, I guess that's what. And I have 2 children also that live there.
I'm Daryl Wiggert, been around here for centuries, and I've been involved in the town for probably around 40 years, various positions, from P&Z to mayor, and we raised 3 boys here. They're now on the Front Range. Been involved with various other districts such as the Water and Sand, the Fire District, some of the stuff with the county as well. So, and then I'm retired, by the way.
He loves P&Z the most.
Yes, because it is a fun group to be with.
It is.
Now that I
Jeff.
Where
Jeff.
Jeff? And Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff Armistead. I've been on the P&Z for a few terms. I forget how many. I've been in town for 25 plus years and I've got 4 kids. And yeah, that's my story.
Jeff, since I have your attention, do you have anything to say about the DDA?
No, I think it sounds great. I'm interested, looking forward to being a part of the process.
Now, I interrupted you for something you were about to say.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
I don't have anything to add unless you have a question, so.
Any other questions? No?
I have one more question. Pretty basic question. So right now, the town's throwing in the first 15,000. If they throw in more, that'll be determined later. But in a perfect world, we hope that
The DDA, once they start actually having revenue coming in, yes, the hope is that the town would not have to supplement. The town can do loans to the DDA. So like in the future, once they get more established, if they still were looking for help from the town, we could do it as a loan that's able to be paid back so that we're not out that money. That's an option. Once it gets more established, we would hope to be able to seek grants out. The DDA is eligible for grants. The tricky part right now is just that I am the acting executive director because we have no money yet. Yes, so just another hat. And so that said, obviously my time is limited to how much I can give to the DDA right now. My big focus is getting this plan of development going and just sort of getting the board more comfortable. And so eventually the hope is that when they have more revenue or any revenue, that they can hire an executive director that's paid, and that person would have more time to sort of go after grants and do some of these things and really help maybe get us to that next level. But that's likely a few years out, in all honesty. So, but yes, the hope would be that this is sort of just, let's get it going. I do think there could be other areas where financial help might be needed with regard to some financial consulting, someone to help us audit the assessments and make sure we're getting our fair share. Some municipalities are paying a financial analyst who specializes in this stuff to help them do that and make sure that that's happening the way it's supposed to. Not that we don't trust our county assessors, but sometimes things can be looked at differently. So that could be an area of opportunity where there could be some additional help needed. And then the other one would be legal help. So just getting this established, it's been our town's legal team that's been helping with that. At some point, the DDA may need to take on its own legal help, but we're just not at that point yet, obviously.
Good job, Cindy.
Thank you.
Good job. Good explanation.
From the people that you say you would like to have involved and going to meet the public and residents and things like that, just please, I mean, look at all the advertising we did for this and the turnout we got. That worries me. We really need to figure out how we're gonna get that out to people and who are those people that are important. Like obviously the Flaherty's, they're the one or two families that still live in the downtown area. You know, the Sullivans, the people going up the hill there, things like that, they might be involved in some of this. And whatever, so further along the line, you can let us know how they.
So we can definitely do that. We would not exclude anybody from these conversations. Now, I will say those residential properties are not in the district. So, because the goal of the district is really for commercial
So the
development and
district
growth.
focuses on, even though it's in downtown, it's only the commercial buildings, but in here it mentions residences.
Right. Again, because we have residents in the downtown who are active in the community and might have input. So, right. So I will clarify this with errors, but so we, like I said, we wouldn't want to exclude anybody, but they technically aren't within the district. So it would be focused on commercial. Like what Eris said they typically do is, you know, we would get a more detailed schedule, like this day we want P&Z, or planning commission, sorry, and this day we want, you know, some council members, or this day we want all the boards together, you know, whatever that may be. They said they would also physically go visit the downtown businesses and also invite them to probably come chat with them in the evenings, but they will like physically walk and go talk to the businesses and try to get, the owners may and may not be there, but try to, and we'll let people know when this is happening so they can make themselves available. But they would physically go visit businesses, try to talk to them. And then we'd have, again, that workshop, very intensive, like 2.5 days here, and have specific times for people to kind of come by and have sort of, there would be some open house type time within that.
Just because people that aren't part of that district, but in that area, are probably gonna question, how is this gonna affect me?
Sure.
And
That's
how
always
it
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
benefit them,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
And how it could benefit them.
Right?
But yeah, fair question.
Either way.
And like I said, there will be some sort of open house style times, whether it's here or at a business in town, where we'll say, oh, come by between these times to chat with bears and just ask questions, Q&A type things.
Anybody else?
That was really my question, was just how it's going to be given to the public, and will they be aware? How will the businesses be aware? Since they're only on the ground, it says for 2.5 days.
Right, we'll put that out well ahead of time. We'll do some emails and probably some door-to-door notices, and just because we really want people to know that this is happening. We'll make sure the schedule is published on the website. We'll use the messaging board. We'll do all of that kind of stuff and try to do as much advanced communication as we can.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. Who's on the board?
Sure. So Spence Neubauer is the chair.
Pardon?
Spence Neubauer is the chair.
Okay.
Joe Delude is the treasurer. Joe from Eagle River Inn. Morgan McLaughlin is the secretary. Do you know Morgan? Taffy's daughter. Okay. And Tom Warren is the vice chair. Tom Warren's with Emmer Minturn.
Oh,
And since they still have quite a stake in the downtown.
yeah.
Yeah. So he is on the board as well. So that's the board. Oh, and then sorry, Tom Priest is the council representative. We do have to have a council representative on the board,
Okay.
and that is Tom Priest.
Oh, okay. In your presentation, you said day one, and there will be a time. Do you have a date yet?
Not definite dates yet. We threw out potentially the week of October 20th. I don't know if they're looking at a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then I got to figure out how to not impact public meetings, so that I emailed them today about that, like how do we work around that? So I'm more to come. But we're potentially looking at that week. And I was also going to see, I don't know if they can do anything in August because they're trying to wrap up other projects first. I was potentially shooting for late August to get it done sooner, because the whole month of September is unfortunately out because of board scheduling conflicts. So, and we have to get it done in time to get it passed by Planning Commission and Council by the end of the year. So that's why we're under a time crunch. But so mid to late October is about the latest I can do it. So more to come on that. What I am asking them to do is, once we have some dates that we think will work, I'll let everybody know, and we can see who may or may not be available. I'm trying to make sure I have the full DDA board available, because that's vital, and as much staff as possible. But Madison has some travel coming up too, so we're trying to figure all that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry. So yeah, so I'm still working on exact dates and exact
Okay.
times. Yeah.
The other thing is in reference to the tip. Will this affect the other taxing authorities such as Eagle River Water and Sand and the fire? Because usually a TIF says nobody can tax in that section. Is that correct?
I don't know what you mean by nobody can tax in that section. So
In addition to the TIF can tax in that section.
Yes, TIF.
so they would still get all of their base and basically what they're currently getting. I don't think I'm answering this right. Maybe I'm not understanding the question.
Yeah, so in the district, for those, can they continue to get taxed, the utilities, the fire district, all of those other special districts that are applied on top of that area? Or because now the TIF's in place, do those taxes get absolved, and only the TIF is able to tax that district?
Correct. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Right. So that those taxing entities will still get what I'll call the base, or the current base taxing. So they're not going to have anything taken away, but they're not going to get the additional increment.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but then okay.
No, I understand.
The increment would go 100% to the DDA, but the base would still go to the existing taxing entity.
Okay, okay, the base will not be eliminated.
Correct.
Okay, that was what my concern was
Correct.
on that. So,
Does
and
that
the
make
difference
sense?
is just with the 100 block, or is it 102?
It would be all of the properties within the district. So I should have printed you a map, but if you go on the website, I'm happy to print them for you and bring some down if that would be helpful. But there are maps posted on the website on the DDA page. So it's the entire 100 block, and then like North Main, we included the saloon and Eagle River Inn. We went down to parts of the 200 block, basically including commercial. And then we included like Kirby's and Crazy Chicken and like the car wash properties, some commercial properties up to, I guess, the 500 block. Sorry, I don't have my laptop in front of me to look at it, but those are kind of the properties. But there is a map on the webpage if you want to look at it in more detail.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Can the two of us give you your copy?
Can I ask, in addition to Daryl's question, so today there's not an increment. So what we approved in election was that there would be an increment. So like almost like a tax increase on those properties.
It's not a tax increase.
Or what is it?
It's sorry, you want to
Go
try
ahead.
it?
Jump in.
I mean, the thing with TIF, and to maybe speak to Daryl's question, is you'd keep your base, but yes, it is diverting funds away from those taxing agencies that would otherwise receive them because it's capturing the growth. So there is a diversion in those funds. And so it's kind of important, and I guess for you when you're involved in this plan, to make sure that what the DDA decides to do in the future does focus on generating increased value, because that's kind of where like successful TIFs and unsuccessful ones, making sure that your plan really focuses the DDA on spending money on projects that really deliver a return on the increase in assessed valuation, right? So it's like if we're talking about a house and it's worth $100,000 today, or we're talking about a corner store, if the assessor says next year, okay, that's going up to $125,000, then we are taking the increment of the increased $25,000 and then on as we go for the period of the TIF. Does that make sense?
But it's not an additional tax, you're not like getting an extra tax.
Yeah.
Right.
So then additional question from Daryl's, like, as you're doing the plan development, and maybe we'll get in, the heirs will get into this, because like our area is so critical in fire mitigation. We have one road in, one road out. We all know our problems. We know it's not, if, it's when. Like, can that development plan then say, hey, you still have to divert to Firewise or something like that? Is that like, can you do those type of things in the development plan?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that.
Not really, because it's set up as 100% capture, right?
Right.
Sometimes that can be changed in the setup, but I guess the important thing is like,
We could still focus on like smart, I guess, growth that
Yeah.
takes into account fire prevention and fire,
I guess the thing is, I would say is like, there's the property tax component, but if the DDA is successful with the TIF in increasing the valuation and the investment in this corridor, particularly as it relates to sales tax, those are additional funds that the town will receive in general revenue that can be used to address whatever concerns we may have about broader issues. So it's like, that's where we could really see a significant net benefit. Hopefully that helps.
right,
That helps.
if we're able to bring in more business, more economic growth, right, we could say, hey, we have this additional sales tax revenue, let's put it towards this program that would benefit the town for, yeah.
Okay, cool.
But like the school district, the fire district, and Eagle River Water and Sand, they'll have their base still. Understand the growth will not affect, but they'll still have the base. There was a couple TIFs over in Avon that eliminated everything, and they could not get property taxes from anything in that area. I'm just saying that because if they hear there's a TIF coming in, we may have these organizations come and say, wait a second, what is this going to be to us? So I'm just giving kind of heads up.
We
especially
did
on
reach
those
out to
three.
those organizations prior. I know we had some conversation with the fire district and the school district. I don't remember if we had any conversations with Eagle River Water, but we did have conversations, I know for sure, with the school district and the fire district.
Okay, you might touch base with the sanitation district or Eagle River Water and Sand, because they do get most of their revenue from property tax, so. Okay, thank you.
With the way Rob explained it, people, if you think, oh, well, the town is getting less money on, in the beginning of this, the explanation that you gave is the whole objective is for technically the business to grow and generate more money for the town. So where we think that we might be losing a little bit in the beginning, the goal is to gain in the
long term.
in the long term. Yeah, that was a good explanation. We have good explanations going on.
I just think as a planning commission, when you go through this process with the consultant, express the concerns that you may have about whether it's the school district or whatever, because those thoughts can be incorporated into the plan. And one of the things that often is with TIF and school districts is the school district's primary concern is you're not going to increase their pupil load through projects and developments in the TIF district. That's usually one of the first things they'll be like, because it's like if you're bringing us more students, but you're diverting the increased assessed valuation, that's a concern. And so that's something that could be addressed in the plan of like, let's make sure that we consider any impact on Eagle County schools, when we're talking about providing funding for projects that are redevelopment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I have a question, because not every single business owner is a member, are they?
Well, it's not a matter
You
of,
have to opt in or opt
no, that's not, sorry, I probably didn't explain that well. So they don't, the DDA is a district, it's not per se you're a member or a non-member, but those properties are part of the DDA. Additional properties can opt in. It would have to be the property owner. But like if a developer is like, oh, if they eventually do something at Dowd, somebody may want to opt in. Again, the town may or may not want that to happen because the town may want all of that, but that's an option, right? As an example. But yeah, so it's not a matter of you being a member or a business owner being a member. It's the property that belongs in the district. Does that make sense?
And we don't have an extension, even though we, like in the Battle Mountain discussions, like they have that commercial, like they have one commercial that's not in the district.
It's not currently because none of that was, I mean, I can't say it wasn't happening yet, but it's not really happening yet. I think I can do some research. I don't know the answer to how we would extend it. Now I know we went as far as Dowd because that seemed likely. And it made sense because there's really not there's much in between, so that you don't have a big residential neighborhood in between because it has to be contiguous.
Oh, I got it.
So that's, sorry. So that was part of the reason we didn't go that far south is you have all these residences in between and it didn't really make sense.
Got it. Thank you. Didn't know.
Jeff, one more time, you got anything?
No.
No, I'm actually going to run out of time here, so I'm hoping we can get to the land use stuff.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know that.
Sorry.
Oops.
Cindy, thank you.
Yep. I'll bring those maps down.
Next, design review and land use public hearings, 0111 Miles and Lane, single family residence, Madison.
This is a 3-bedroom, 3,300 square foot single family home, measured to 27 feet at the midpoint. Parking is fine with 4 off-street spaces, 2 in the garage, 2 in front. All setbacks are respected. The proposal is under the allowable lot and impervious coverage limitations, and they have more snow storage that is required by the code at 372 square feet. Staff has identified no issues and recommends approval of the plans, and we do have Taylor Hermes online if you have any questions.
Hi Taylor, how are you? Can't hear you. Hello? No?
She's unmuted, but yeah.
Well, we can go on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There you are.
Awesome. Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you? You're rolling along down there, aren't you?
Yes, we are. I'm just here to answer any questions you guys might have. Dawn won't be joining us today, so I'll answer any questions to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's start with Amanda. Do you
I
have
know.
anything?
I have no questions on this. I'm happy to see another White House though.
Another what?
White House.
White
Got
House.
2.
Michael?
No, I think everything's moving along very well.
I don't have anything. Eric?
I don't have anything.
I have something.
Okay.
It's my standard thing about the perimeter, 4 foot off of the building. It's saying cedar bark, which is like a combustible material. I'd like to see, just a suggestion, that maybe it could be like rock or gravel, a non-combustible material. Suggestion.
Understood.
Thank you.
And with that,
That's it. That's it.
that's it.
Right? I mean, Jeff.
Jeff?
No, I don't have anything.
Jeff, would you like to make a motion? While
No,
you're
I
still-
need public comment to be
Oh,
open.
public comment. I'm sorry.
I have no public comment.
Go for it.
We open to public comment. Nobody is here. Is there anybody?
No one online.
Okay, we'll close public comment. Thank you, Madison. Jeff? make
No,
a-
somebody else can make the motion. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I make a motion to approve 0111 Miles and Lane, the new single family residence, as it mostly complies with our code.
I second.
Motion by Amanda, second by Michael. May I have a roll call vote, please? Jeff?
Aye.
Amanda, I.
Michael, I.
Lynn, aye.
Oh, Daryl, I. That's right.
Thank you. Number 1 has passed.
You guys, I'm afraid I have to go.
Go play some music.
Have a good one, Jeff.
Bye, Jeff.
All right.
Right, Jeff?
Sorry, you guys. Bye.
Thank you for coming. Now you can do it. Number 2, final plan review for new home at 0071 Miles Lane.
This is a 4-bedroom, roughly 3,700 square foot single family home. Building height is 27 feet 4 3/4 inches. Parking is fine with 4 spaces, 2 in the garage, 2 in front. All setbacks are respected, and the proposal is under the allowable lot and impervious coverage limitations. They have more snow storage than was required by the code at 378 square feet. Staff has identified no issues and recommends approval.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do not.
I don't know. I know.
I have that traditional one without the bark. Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I have a motion, please?
Public comment, please.
Oh, public comment. Anybody in the audience, of which there are none? Zoom, please.
No one online.
We'll close public comment.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve 0071 Miles End Lane, final approval for final plan review.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion by Michael, second by Daryl. Roll call vote, please.
Amanda, I.
Michael, aye.
Lynn, aye.
Daryl, aye.
Next, we have discussion and direction items. Do we have any? Do we have any, Madison? No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor.
Good night.
Aye.
So that gets rid of that. Staff reports, the interim manager's report. Did anybody look at it? Does anybody have any questions? It's in your packet in the back.
Well, the only question I had was on the seasonal street construction, which I think Cindy already addressed a little bit at the beginning, but yuck.
Okay.
So I did look at ours website, and it has like dates that they're supposed to be concluded, and that they are, I mean, to me, it feels like they're not close to those dates. They're supposed to be like, they would go into this week.
For which,
The construction on Highway 24. So we have a whole website that's dedicated to the timing of that. So they're supposed to be completed with majority both, like especially on this section this week. What is the ramifications if they don't complete on time, and then what's the impact? Because it then says they're going to open up again on July 4th. Do we have any sort of?
I don't know that we do. It's
Yeah.
XL Energy working within a CDOT right of way. So I think we had to pull teeth to get them to commit to giving us information on a schedule, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean they're trying, but they originally were supposed to be done by May 30th, and obviously that didn't happen. They were just kind of excavating to see the gas line, and now apparently they need to replace the gas line. It's so critical. So
Well, that's good to know, because my next door neighbor had a gas leak last week too.
but yeah, since it's within CDOT right of way, we issue a street cut permit, but that essentially just allows us to hold them to repairing the street. That's really all that does.
Got it. So my next question on the whole thing, because this isn't addressed on the website with the closure, is that they're paving over there for the North PUD. So like you can't, if you try to take that back road, they were turning cars away yesterday because the water trucks to pave, the drivers left for the day. I'm not making this up. The drivers left for the day, so then that road, you had to wait for all the asphalt to dry because the water truck drivers had left. So then they couldn't even let people through on the back street yesterday.
Okay.
It's awful. Like it's a nightmare.
Preach into the choir.
We go that way.
No, I know they're stopping you now from going that way. Today they were stopping you.
They won't let you come out from the saloon either.
I
They
know.
let people come and you just sit there on the bridge
Yeah.
and see that.
But now, no, that's North PUD that's doing the asphalt. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not CDOT that's doing the asphalt.
Well,
in
that's
front of
just
the north.
conflicting schedules.
It's conflicting schedules, so I'm wondering if there's any way to pause some of that asphalt being laid or make it an operational flag section where they don't have a driver. I mean, the guy that was the flagger was like pretty honest. He's like, well, our water truck driver just left for the day. He left the truck there, and now we have to wait for the asphalt to dry before we can let anybody go. I would recommend you turning around because it's gonna be 40 minutes or so.
Back in line.
Back in line on the Highway 24.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, we did meet with Derek, who's the GC, the project manager from Intern North this morning. Myself and Kevin Rindy, our code enforcement officer, to talk about paving of Minturn Road and some of the issues that we've heard, and a few other issues. So I don't know if I can speak to that particular incident. That's a new report. But I guess that goes back to Ewing Construction, the company that's doing the road construction and the paving and their management of their project and traffic control. So we can reach back out to Derek and say, hey, we heard that this happened. Can you make sure that doesn't happen again? You know,
If it does,
move the truck before someone leaves the job site for the day or whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
if it needs to dry,
And it has to dry. He's like, I can't let you drive on it until it's dry. And so he had somebody sitting there looking to see if it's dry. He's like, this is gonna be wild.
maybe they left the truck there
It is-
so it could dry.
An understatement that it's obviously unfortunate that these two things happened or are going on at the same time. I don't know that we had much notice whatsoever about the Xcel Energy project on Highway 24 and had no ability to plan for that impact or coordinate with Minturn North, which is also trying to get the paving project done, right? So
Well, and I'm sure they're both aware that that's our only in and out in case of an emergency. Or at least they should be reminded, if nothing else.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, we're just gonna go through,
And
tar or no tar.
this is how XL and CDOT always work. I mean, they kind of leave us in the lurch. I'm sorry for it, but that's what it is.
Anybody else? No?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to say thank you for those of you who did show up to the open house on Monday night. Not a great turnout. We're hoping for better next time, but perhaps people are finding the information online and providing comments online with regard
Are you
to,
getting comments online?
I don't know, we had 4 as of Monday.
As of yesterday.
Maybe we can put
We
a
have
big
5.
flashing
It's
light
5 now.
down Finding Gustos like before.
Your
Because everybody's stuck in traffic.
zoning is changing.
Yeah, and also, by the way, to the zoning, it doesn't tell you the date. It just says planning and zoning, and then it didn't, like the one by the mail.
It did yesterday, but because it's so far out, since it's next Thursday, I don't think Cindy put everything on there. Just kind of saying, hey, look out for this.
Are you talking about the very old
next
message?
one.
Yeah, it doesn't, like I was looking for the
The 19th.
date on it.
Next one is the 19th,
Yes.
and then the one after that is the 24th. 24th.
19th and 24th. Okay, thanks.
Well, yes, I was disappointed too that more people didn't show. And I was, because I even took some of the flyers from the table and gave them to neighbors that, like my new next door neighbor, Casey wasn't aware of it. I don't know how involved he's gotten into looking at midterm things on the internet. you
Right.
know. A lot of people come home from work and don't want to go there. So I handed them one. And, you know, there are others who I thought would have been here, you know, well, I forgot or I had to do this and or that. But, I mean, yeah, we've had good turnouts for things in the past. This is a pretty big thing to this town, and I think.
I thought it would get more attention.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know when the last time the town proposed changing people's zoning.
Kids did
So-
just get out of school, so maybe a lot of people left town. That's another
Yeah,
option.
for sure. It's summer and all those things. And Michael, you brought up a good point the other night at the open house that with deference to maybe a few select areas where people might have some more significant changes to their allowed uses. In a lot of instances, almost every other instance, people's what they're allowed as far as permitted uses by right now might actually be increasing. Some of their dimensional limitations are easing up a little bit, so they might look at it and say, awesome, don't need to go, right? There might be a positive impact that we're not necessarily seeing or hearing. So, we have 2 more open houses. We're going to keep the comment period open and all the information online for at least another month and a half. So we'll see what we get.
Well, Linda, you gave the glass half full. Glass half empty is people go, why go? Because nobody ever listens to me. And then they don't come for that reason.
That would be
So it goes
unfortunate.
both ways.
Yeah. I
Please come to the meeting. Why? They never listen to me. Well, please come to the missing meeting and say what you have to say.
Yeah.
We need to
If it
sign
came to the open
flash,
house-
zones changing.
They would see that we did implement all of, or a majority of their suggestions from the last round of open houses. So we did listen to them.
I've never been involved in a process where we, have been so over the top in notifying people, sending letters to every property owner in town, the website, email blast, the newsletter. What else?
Flyers and door to doors.
Flyers, door-to-door flyers.
every door-
I don't know
every door
how.
down.
So we'll see. Let's see what happens. And again, I think in hindsight, you look at it and I don't feel that there is a huge impact to people's permitted uses. I think if anything, it's swinging back to being a little bit more generous as far as the number of uses that people can do by right, and getting things that require additional permitting, limited or conditional uses, reducing those. So again, maybe people are looking and saying, "Oh, this really doesn't negatively impact me."
Future meetings, June 25th. Is everybody going to be here? I know you said you were going to be gone for one. Is that the one? Everybody else here?
Yes.
July 9th?
Here.
Does anybody know what they're doing for July 4th this year?
What do you mean? We're gonna have our normal concert stuff out at Little Beach. Have a headliner and or an opener and a headliner.
When's that?
July 2nd. It is every year. It's when Minturn does its Independence Day.
Man, the 5th's perfect. It's a Saturday.
I think somebody else is the 5th. We all spread out Independence Day throughout the valley.
We spread out all the holidays. Since the valley's gotten so big, that's the only way people can do it. Okay, is there anything else on anybody's mind this evening? No?
No.
So who wants to make the exciting motion tonight?
I make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting of June 11th, 2025.
We have a second.
I would like to be the second to that motion.
Motion by Amanda, second by Daryl, all in favor.
Aye.
Madison.